There are some places in Australia that do not impress you through noise, speed, or spectacle. They stay with you for a different reason. They quiet something inside you. They slow the rhythm of your thoughts. They make you listen more carefully to wind, water, distance, and light. These are the places where Australia feels less like a destination and more like a state of mind. A lake under mountain shadow. A beach so still it feels untouched. A wetland where the water reflects the sky so perfectly it seems unreal. A national park where the silence feels generous rather than empty. An outback shoreline where almost nothing moves, and yet everything feels alive. This episode is about those places. Not only beautiful places, but peaceful ones. Places that stay in your heart not because they demanded attention, but because they gently changed the way you felt while you were there. You begin at Cradle Mountain-Lake St Clair, where Tasmania holds silence in one of its most powerful forms. The peaks are dramatic, yes, but what stays with you is not only the mountain itself. It is the still water, the glacial-carved lakes, the ancient rainforest, and the profound feeling that nature here is larger than your thoughts. Tourism Australia describes the park through its serrated peaks, lakes, grasslands, and rainforest. And that layered wilderness is exactly what gives the place its calm weight. You imagine cool air, mirrored water, soft light resting on the land, and walking tracks that seem to lead you inward as much as forward. This is not a peace that comes from emptiness. It comes from presence, from the feeling that the landscape is complete within itself, and that you are simply lucky enough to stand inside it for a while. Cradle Mountain belongs here because some places do not relax you by becoming smaller. They relax you by making you remember how large and beautiful the world still is. Then you move to Freycinet, where peace takes on a brighter, more coastal form. Tourism Australia describes Freycinet as a place of wild beauty, with pink granite mountains, white beaches, and azure bays, and that contrast between color and calm is what makes it so memorable. You imagine the hazards glowing softly in morning light, the curve of a bay holding still blue water, and the strange quiet that arrives when a place is both visually striking and deeply calm at the same time. Freycinet does not feel loud even when it is beautiful. It feels balanced. It feels composed. That is why it stays in your heart, because it proves that serenity does not have to be plain. It can be vivid, luminous, and still deeply restful. Then the water becomes darker, glacier, and more mysterious in the Noosa Everglades. Tourism Australia notes that Noosa is home to one of only 2 Everglade systems in the world, and the broader Sunshine Coast guidance describes the Noosa Everglades through mirror-like waterways fringed by tea trees. That image alone explains why this place belongs in an episode about quiet wonders. You imagine a canoe or a still boat moving through black water that reflects the sky almost perfectly. You imagine reeds, tea trees, silence, and the feeling that sound itself has softened in order not to disturb the place. This is a quieter kind of beauty than coast or mountain. It is fluid, reflective, almost meditative. The Noosa Everglades remind you that peace can also feel slightly unreal, as if you have entered a place that exists half in water and half in light. Then you come to Booderee National Park, where peace feels sheltered, coastal, and deeply grounded in place. Tourism Australia describes Booderee through white sand beaches, pristine waters, bushland, tranquil trails, and secluded beaches, all held within a landscape of strong cultural significance. You imagine walking through bush toward glassy water, arriving at a beach protected from swell by headlands, and feeling the quiet come not only from the scenery, but from the way the land holds the bay. The place feels cared for by nature and memory at once. Booderee belongs in this episode because some of Australia's most peaceful places are not remote in a harsh way. They are gentle, sheltered. They hold stillness like a hand holds water. Then the mood shifts inland to Kangaroo Valley, where peace feels pastoral, green, and human-scaled. This is the kind of place where the valley itself does most of the emotional work. You imagine soft hills, quiet roads, mist resting low in the morning, and the feeling that the landscape is not trying to dominate you. It is simply holding you. Kangaroo Valley belongs here because not all quiet wonders are wild in an extreme sense. Some are gentle and lived in. Some offer peace through farmland, river bends, trees, and the kind of regional beauty that makes you slow down without ever needing to be told. And often, those are the places that stay longest, because they feel less like escape and more like return. Then you return to Tasmania, but this time to Blue Darby, where the quiet feels forested, cool, and gently hidden. This region is often known for trails, but beyond that, it carries the kind of hush only deep green landscapes can create. You imagine ferns, damp earth, filtered light, and old timber town characters softened by nature over time. Blue Darby belongs in this episode because peace does not always come from standing still in one wide open place. Sometimes it comes from being enclosed by forest, by shade, by silence that arrives in layers. The air feels closer. The world feels smaller in the best way. And in that closeness, you begin to rest. Then the peace becomes older and more elemental at Mungo National Park. Here, the quiet does not feel lush or sheltered. It feels ancient. Dry lake beds, wide horizons, sculpted formations, and immense sky create a stillness that feels almost geological. You imagine pale earth, long shadows, and the kind of silence that makes even your own footsteps seem too recent. Mungo belongs here because some places quiet you not by comforting you, but by placing you in front of time itself. They remind you how deep the continent is, not only in distance, but in age and memory. This is a quieter wonder of a different kind. Stark, spacious, profound. Then the stillness changes again at Bamurru Plains on the edge of Kakadu country, where floodplains, birds, wetlands, and open sky create a peace that feels alive rather than silent. Tourism Australia highlights the rugged natural beauty of the area, airboat safaris across the floodplains, and the abundance of wildlife there. You imagine broad wetland light, birds lifting from the water, long horizons, and a place where the quiet is not empty at all. It is full of movement, but a gentle movement, a breathing landscape, a place where nature seems to unfold at its own pace, with complete confidence. Bamurru Plains belongs here because peace in Australia is not always still. Sometimes it moves softly through reeds, wings, water, and warm air. Then you reach 80 Mile Beach, where the peace becomes vast, tidal, and almost impossible to measure. Tourism Australia's calmest places feature includes 80 Mile Beach as one of the country's top spots to ground yourself in nature. And that makes immediate sense. This is a place where horizon, shore, and sky seem to stretch beyond ordinary scale. You imagine a beach so long it feels more like a meeting between elements than a destination. Wind, tide, wet sand, birds, and changing light all shape the experience. The beauty here is not intricate, it is immense, and that immensity becomes its own kind of calm. 80 Mile Beach belongs in this episode because sometimes the most peaceful places are the ones that leave you with almost nothing to do except watch. Finally, the episode closes at Tidbinbilla Nature Reserve, where quiet Australia comes close to the capital, yet still feels removed from the pace of daily life. This is the kind of place where wetlands, bushland, and mountain backdrop meet in a way that feels calm and accessible at once. You imagine still water, reeds, birds, distant slopes, and the particular kind of peace that belongs to a reserve where everything feels near enough to notice and spacious enough to breathe. Tidbinbilla is a beautiful final note because it reminds you that quiet wonders do not always have to be remote. Sometimes they are close by, simply waiting to be seen with slower eyes. And that may be the deepest truth of this episode. Peaceful places do not always call loudly. Often, they are the ones you only truly notice when you are finally ready to receive them. And now, when you think of Australia's quiet wonders, the image becomes softer and deeper at the same time. It includes mountains and bays, Everglades and beaches, valleys and forests, desert silence, wetland horizons, and long shorelines where almost nothing moves except light. 10 peaceful places, 10 different moods, 10 reminders that beauty does not always arrive through intensity. Sometimes it arrives through stillness, through reflection, through the simple feeling that the world around you is complete and in no hurry to prove itself. Some of these places feel cool and alpine. Some feel coastal and bright. Some feel forested, pastoral, ancient, wetland soft, or immense and tidal. But all of them offer the same gift. They let you become quieter inside. And once a place has done that, it never leaves you entirely. If this journey spoke to you, stay with Discover Australia deeply as you continue exploring Australia beyond the surface, one meaningful place at a time.